in anticipation of the 2024 Shad Derby Queen is...
Hi, I'm Jim Cardillo. My father is John Cardillo. He started the Shad Derby.
Can you explain the Shad Derby to somebody who's not from Windsor?
No, not at all. Well,
very simple.
He started the Derby mainly because he wanted to bring attention to the river, the Connecticut River.
Which at the time was not the cleanest river in the world, and still probably is not the cleanest, but they've done a lot better job on it.
You know, he was a trendsetter for environmental movements and stuff. He would fight with Dexter paper because because of the pollution that they would put into the river. Fishermen couldn't fish because there would be so much debris coming out and getting caught on your fishing line. And sometimes the river would change colors and stuff. And he fought hard to get them to start cleaning up their act and everything. And it wasn't really popular at the time. I think he felt that it was an underserved opportunity for people. We say that he started the Derby, but I mean, there were a number of people that worked with him quite a bit, you know, and it wasn't just him, but he was the main motivator. He promoted it in shad fishing.
it's a celebration of a fish.
You know, I think they call the shad the poor man's salmon.
Well, the shad are, I believe the term is androgynous fish, like a salmon. They spend virtually their whole lives in salt water, but they spawn in fresh water, and they usually return to the waters where they were born, okay, where they were originally spawned. And so they come up the river in the spring.
Depending on what history book you read, the colonists, you know, who've been in a cold, miserable, hungry winter, would embrace the fact that hundreds of thousands of shad would be coming up, and it meant good meals again for them. And so somewhere in the 50s, somebody said, hey, we should continue that tradition.
For a guy who was born in Italy in 1908 and came here when he was 12, it was amazing the circle of friends that he had. You know, I mean, top-level state politicians, and he would speak for a lot of groups and stuff and everything. There was just something about him that drew people in, and so I think that led to him becoming Mr. Shad. Somebody gave him a hat one time that said Mr. Shad on it, and from then on he was Mr. Shad, you know. My recollection is that it was at Bart's, it was always at Bart's.
This has been going on in Windsor a long time.
1953.
1953, yep.
That was the starting of the Shad Derby, or actually the Shad Fishing Tournament, which blended into a derby on the green after that took off.
Starting, I think, in what, 1955?
No, it was 53.
No, but I mean formally.
Formally probably in 55. But the start of it was then. And what they did is they took a fishing tournament and turned it into a real celebration.
The Windsor Rod and Gun Club started the Derby. And as a matter of fact, my father was one of the founders of the Rod and Gun Club, and I think he was president at the time. And the club produced most of the people that worked on the committees and did a lot of the work and everything.
So it started out that way, and then it evolved. There was a fishing contest, a one-day fishing contest, and then somebody said, well, geez, let's do some activities on the green, or maybe we could have a parade, or maybe we could have this. And so it mushroomed.
And he wanted to make it more popular to draw people in. And so that was the beginning of the Derby. And my father was on the original committees for the Shad Derby Festival and stuff. I think people from the Chamber and Jaycees and stuff contacted him, and he was thrilled with the idea because, again, it brought more attention to the fishing of the shad and the fact that the shad come up every year and everything. And he really did support the festival and the parade and stuff, and he was in the parade a lot.
And that's what's happened to the shad fishing tournament, is everybody thinks it's the Derby on the green. Well, the fishing tournament was first, and then they went to the green because it got so large. I remember 17, 18 years old that there was 40,000 people in the middle of Windsor for the Shad Derby parade and all that stuff.
It's turned into, it's a big operation now, and it takes a lot of people. The Chamber of Commerce and the Rod and Gun Club got together, logically because of the businesses in town, Windsor Chamber wanted to be involved, and the Rod and Gun Club wanted to show the fishing part of it.
So when you tell people, yeah, we get together and celebrate a fish, people kind of look at you funny, but I mean, it's such a great thing for the town. It really is. It's the first big outdoor event after winter. We may not have the same appreciation as the colonists did for springtime.
I even have a picture of myself with the fishermen who won the Shad Derby and caught the biggest shad that year.
My name is Mike Rabbett, and I was former chairman. I think that's why you invited me today. Back then, parades were a big deal because for years we had two, Memorial Day Parade and Shad Derby Parade. And everybody went out for them. How I got involved with the Shad Derby to begin with is through the Jaycees. I joined the Jaycees. And in 1976, I ran a parade. So I was parade chairman, and then I became Shad Derby chair in 1980 was the first year that I chaired it. And I chaired it 8 times. One more than our exalted mayor, Don Trinks, who did it 7 times.
I think it's 8.
It's not a competition, right?
Not a competition at all, no.
7 or 8 times. The mind is starting. The Bureau is the group that represents each of the groups in town that participate in the Shad Derby. And then the committee are the hands-on. They're the ones that you organize the beer garden and the parade and all of the other pieces of the actual day itself.
My name is Ernie Weisberg. I've been involved with the Shad Derby, I believe, since 1972, thereabouts. I was also chairman in 1975. The Windsor Chamber ran the Shad Derby, except for the fishing. That was the Windsor Rod and Gun. And I also was a member of the Windsor Shad Derby Bureau with later years. I was treasurer and of the organization, which is comprised of all the civic organizations here in Windsor. So the Queens, I believe, were in charge from the Windsor Chamber of Commerce. And then the Jaycees took over the green and the parade at that point. And then they brought in other events, like the Junior Women's Club started their dance. They called the Shagwork Dance. And then they eventually also took over some of the Queen activities.
But it's for a lot of people, when you say Shad Derby, they think of Shad Derby Day on the green. And, there are other components to it. I mean, I've seen the list of all of the other events that they do and all of the events that these candidates, Shad Derby Queen candidates, which is another big piece of it. That's been happening since 1966 or so, 67. We had our first Shad Derby Queen.
It was 1966. I'm Joan Cooper, and I was the very first Shad Derby Queen for the town of Windsor. This was the very first time the Queen was ever crowned. I think the year they started the Queen, I believe they just wanted to make the Shad Derby event. They wanted to put it on a grand scale.
And it's, again, local people, local kids being involved in the town. And you kind of think at the end of the day, well, maybe one of these persons, young people will be the chairperson someday, or come back and be involved in the parade, or involved in the Queen's organization. So it just is a large group of people that really, really put their heart and soul into it.
Didn't save me a seat.
Right there.
Oh, the chair.
Let's roll. 7 o'clock. So the good news is we have the website up and running. We have fixed it. Introductions, president report. Okay. Invite our old sponsors to come, and then try to invite some new people. Applications for the Queen's Committee, we would like to send those out as soon as possible.
Now that businesses are, doing a lot of like online marketing, like, do we have to shift kind of what we do for our sponsors to make it more appetizing for them? So I think we want to hear from them as well.
So I am looking for somebody to actually be festival chair this year.
Yeah, I would occasionally go to meetings for him and stuff and everything as he got older, and I had moved into, the leadership ranks of the club. I became vice president, president, treasurer, all different things over the time. So I would go to the planning meetings and stuff, and work on it. It became kind of a self-motivated thing. It was like, everybody knew what needed to be done and everything, and it was just maybe a matter of lining up where one group was going to be versus another, and who could do what and stuff and everything on the green, and then you'd work with the town and stuff, getting that ready.
What I want to see out of the Derby is a lot of people in Windsor know about the Derby. I want to see it expand to the whole state so that we could get everybody from the state to come and experience our favorite Windsor tradition.
So Windsor is a very special place. If you look around in different towns, there's not a lot of towns that look like us. So one important part is that growing up and entering into the different parts of the communities, it's important that we hold Windsor in us. The identity that we have in Windsor is just strong and confident.
My name is Ronald Eleveld. I'm working with the Rotary Club today, and we're sponsoring the Shad Derby Family Bowling event. The event basically allows the girls to sell participation, basically players, and the largest number of players that any one girl gets receives the Vince Scully Scholarship, and Rotary has added an additional scholarship as well. Why Shad Derby important? I can remember when I was a kid, we would go down to Shad Derby and we could walk around the green all day. It was a fun event and a fun day. As an adult, we've become more involved with our community. I'm involved with multiple organizations, as well as being a member of the town council. Shad Derby is a great opportunity for members of the public to get together, work together for a common good.
Hi, I'm Glenn Thompson. I'm part of Windsor Rod and Gun Club, and I'm working here with Alfred King, and we tend to run the Shad Derby every year. We organize that and work with another individual, and we try and make it happen, and hopefully everybody has a good time each year. I've been fishing. First time was 1963. Didn't know what I was doing, but that was my motivation to get out and fish for shad. Just a young punk on a bicycle. underneath.
I started on a bicycle.
Underneath the train bridge.
You get from your house to the river. That's all it was for.
Yeah, but where was the first time you went for Shad?
At that train bridge.
At that train bridge, and everybody knows.
And then you go to Bart's for a hamburger later.
There's a tight community here, and I'm glad to be part of it. And I'll continue to do it as long as I can. But
I'm in the same boat. I can't let it go. I was born and raised in Windsor, so.
But we have a lot of history, and hopefully we can get that out there before it all disappears, and we can bring in another generation.
Hi, I'm Patricia Bruin, class of 1983 from Windsor High School. I've lived in Windsor pretty much my whole life. I am the current president of the Shad Derby Festival Bureau. The days that I remember as a kid going down to the green to go attend to the Shad Derby Festival, to attend the parade, to hang out with my family, to hang out with my friends from high school and town and in the center, and just really enjoy a fun day, especially the fried dough by the Kiwanis. It never fails.
My name is Monica Nugent. I am the co-chair of the Shad Coronation Ball. I am part of the Windsor Junior Women's Club, which is one of the member organizations of the Shad Bureau. And so our role is we plan the ball and we host it. I got involved originally with the Windsor Junior Women's Club when I first moved to Windsor a few years ago. I wanted to be more involved in my community. I wanted to meet other women, being new in town and being a young mom. And so that was a great opportunity. I have an event planning background. And so when we found out that I had that background and we were planning the ball, I got put on the committee. I was voluntold. And then since then, I've been running it. So it's been a few years, and my co-chair is Regina Wiggins. And so we're the duo that planned the entire thing. When I found out about the Shad Derby and the Shad Ball, I was really confused at first. I thought it was just a name for something, and then I was told that the shad is the fish that always returns to Windsor. And so that was really funny to me, but also really interesting, and I kind of wanted to know what went into the history of all of this and why was the Shad Derby important to so many people. So it's an interesting history, I think, but it is really rich in that history, and so I'm excited to be a part of it. Hi, Wario.
Sure. I'll go first. I'm Joe McCall, from President of the Jaycees. You are?
Tammy Doobie, Vice President of the Jaycees. Also the parade chair. 100% volunteer. No one gets paid for anything. So it's 100% volunteer.
Yeah, it's run with a pretty small group of volunteers, and it works, but it would help to have more people.
If Bert is still running the green, which he probably will be, that those traditions of the green will continue on.
I grew up in Windsor back in the 70s and 80s, and the Shad Derby was huge. Everybody went down to, the town green in May and took part and watched the parade and all that kind of stuff. And as kids, we never gave much thought to how it happened. Fast forward, I graduated in '83, left for a while, came back to Windsor in the 2000s, and we found out about the Jaycees. Some friends were in there. We found out what they do and kind of help out, and we joined them. And as soon as I found out they're the ones organizing the green, well, I jumped on that, became part of the committee for organizing it, and kind of been doing it ever since 2012. Hi, I'm Bert Smith. I'm a member of the Windsor Jaycees. I head up the Shad Derby signups on the green. There's 3 Jaycees groups. There's the parade, the beer garden, and the green. I do the green pretty much. It's relatively straightforward. The process for the year is to start off by updating the website for 2025, to accept months of people applying for spaces on the green and paying for them, and keep note of them on our spreadsheet, which is massive and goes back 12 years, and then organize the green come day of so that everybody knows their space. Basically involves a lot of email. Pretty much every day I spend about half an hour, 45 minutes in the morning, answering questions, responding to emails, a few other bookkeeping things, you deal with electoral, things like that. But the majority of it is really just spreadsheet maintenance and emails. It takes a fair amount of time, but it's really rewarding being able to be involved in something like this. So I enjoy it. Where I'm looking for it to go from here, that heyday was really important to me.
Things have slowed down a bit over the years. COVID was a big hit for all organized events like this, and so it's been picking up. But I'd like to see it get back to its heyday when for a month ahead of time the town was looking forward to it and all that kind of stuff. So my push has been really to trying to get the promotion up, get attendance up, get vendors on the green, pick it up. It's been years since we had a full green. Looking forward to doing that again this year. We're looking good, and that's my plan.
Hello, I'm Victoria. And I'm Annalise. Oh my God, so many people just came in at once. I love it. Okay, I know you. Girls can go ahead and grab name tags. Oh, it actually looks like Vicky has them. How are you? Good. How are you? Yep, go ahead and grab a seat. So our role for Shad Derby Queens Committee is basically working one-on-one with the girls, answering any questions they have, getting them ready for any event that they might have coming up, reading through their speeches, editing them, seeing what we could help them with or add in. And that's about it. We really just work with the girls to get them ready for everything and make sure that everything goes through without a flaw.
Welcome, ladies. You all look beautiful. The Shad Derby is a unique festival in Windsor that is run by volunteers through 14 civic and civic organizations and supported by local businesses.
What I really want to see is I want girls that come in the upcoming years to bring in their aspirations for what they want for the future. I want them to take this experience and roll with it and help it have them grow in their personal and in their careers.
So what's really special about Windsor is that we are so diverse and that we are a special part of Connecticut that not a lot of towns look like us. I think it's really important that the Shad Derby shines and shows that diversity and that different parts of our community feel stronger and more committed to engaging in their surroundings and getting educated and getting to know themselves.
I kind of just remember like having no idea what the heck the Shad Derby was about. Like, I didn't know it was about a fish. And so I remember like finding that out at like age 10 and I was like, oh, that's what this is about, you know? It was very like an out of touch situation, you know, seeing the queens up there, it seemed like some sort of like movie thing and it never really felt like, oh, that could be me, you know? It kind of felt like, oh, look at those pretty girls in cars waving at me. What are they doing? You know, I didn't really understand what it was about, but I just remember like, my mom was like, oh my gosh, wave back at them. Like, they're so pretty. And I was just like, ah, you know, I didn't really know like what it meant.
This is not a beauty contest. It's not a Miss America contest. This is about a person who has great personality, great values, her outlook, intelligence, her activity in the community, and represents the people here in Windsor.
They kind of see it as like the stereotypical beauty pageant, which I wouldn't say that it is. You know, I don't think it's like a just beauty thing, and we're not like showing off talents and baton twirling or those things that you see in other like beauty pageants. They kind of see it as like this like one narrow image. So I want more to be like, I worked hard for this and I tried, and then like I wrote essays and like scripts of like things I was gonna say, and I try to make sure that other people know that it's not just like a beauty system. It's a actual like town historical event.
It's a big deal, and it's and these women are so up on things and handle themselves so well, and they get up and speak, and it's just, these are 17-year-old girls that just are really, really, really good. So that's big, one of the big aspects of it. It's not taken lightly. It has nothing to do with beauty. It has to do with brains and activities outside school, knowledge of current affairs. There's judges. They can't be from, this is all serious business. It can't be from town. They can't know the girls, anywhere from 10 to 15 females vie for this position. They're sponsored by businesses in town, organizations in town.
I guess it could be fun and, you know, go down in the history of this town sort of thing. So that kind of like small town, you know, historical vibe, that's what I was kind of like into, so yeah.
The impact of becoming the first Shad Derby Queen really gave me a lot of confidence going forward. Gave me confidence speaking in front of people, going through other interviews. I believe what the three main qualities of a Shad Derby Queen should be, from my experience, is first honesty. Honesty about who you are, what you care about, and caring about the town is very, very important. The other thing was, I think they were looking for someone with aspirations for the future. We all are so interested in what the young people are going to be, how they're going to develop our country going forward.
The reason I'm doing Shad Derby is because as a kid I've always loved watching the girls in the parade.
To gain some public speaking experience, and I think it's fun to get to know people in the community.
And it's something I wanted to be a part of for the community. And then it's also been a huge thing in my family as well, with my sister doing it and my grandma and my mom all doing it. New relationships and to practice good public speaking.
I've lived in Windsor my whole life, and it's a really big part of my community and my experience growing up, and I really just wanted a new journey to go through before college.
Growing up, I always saw the Queens waving on the Shad Parade, and my sister ran a couple of years ago, and it just seems like a really fun experience.
I want to be a positive role model for little girls who are watching the Shad Derby Parade, and when I was watching the parade when I was little, I looked up to the older girls who were in the parade and wanted to be just like them.
I was the little girl that would see the big kids do it before, and I just like being part of the community.
And the reason why I'm doing the Shad Derby is because I've always heard about it, but I never, knew how to be a part of it. And my friend actually got me into this, and I had just moved into Windsor, so this is going to be a fun experience, I thought.
Tell us about your experience throughout the process.
It's a bittersweet experience. I told a lot of my friends who were of color, I was like, come join, and they were all like, nah, it's not worth it, sort of thing. And they thought it was one of those locked away white people activities that they could never achieve. And I was like, you never know, they're trying to be different this year. That's what they always say. But they definitely said that they're trying to be more inclusive this year because they knew that people were having outward expressions of how disconnected it was. And so most of my friends didn't want to sign up, and I got my one friend, Jadiani, you'll see her.
The fun, you said fun part, was maybe going to the hair salon and getting ready. The hair salon was actually the fun part, but the most nerve-wracking part was seeing who was gonna win.
Serena Scott.
I didn't even think I was gonna win because they announced the Queen last, and so my friend, I think she got the first one they announced, which was second runner-up or something like that. And I was sitting there and I was like, dang, I didn't win any of these past things. I'm sitting there about to announce Queen. I'm like, I guess I didn't win. And then I was like, oh, I guess, I don't know. I guess I was really shocked. The whole experience was not anything I expected, I guess. And so at least I had my one friend by my side to navigate the whole experience. And it just happened to be that, we both won something, obviously, and we didn't really expect that. And in past years, it's been like mostly like older white judges. And then this year they made it intentionally an all women judges. And there were a couple of people of color of all the women who were judges. And I was like shocked. We were like, oh my gosh, like there's a Black woman judge. We were like so excited. And, you know, because that's not something that you'd expect, I guess. For us, you kind of get used to like expecting that sort of disappointment in that sort of way. And so when I won, I was expecting disappointment. I was expecting not to win. I was unsure at like one of our first meetings about like curly hair and were they gonna be able to do that at the hair salon? And I asked that question in front of everyone because I was just, actually it wasn't in front of everyone. It was like quietly to the lady in charge because one of them had curly hair and I was like, hey, like, do you know if they're gonna be okay, like understanding how to do this? And someone behind me had heard me and one of the parents, they all started like loudly talking about it, like, don't worry, we'll be able to help you. We'll be able to get your hair like fixed. And I was like, okay. I just want to make sure that other people don't feel that way in the future, just kind of make sure that it's like a intentionally inclusive environment, that it's not like awkward or uncomfortable because then it makes nobody really want to like be a part of it or run for it. I didn't really expect, you know, I've had bad experiences going to like, you know, hair places getting my hair cut because they don't like understand how, they don't teach how to deal with like Black hair. I just think being more intentionally inclusive in the way that's not performative, just to make things more comfortable for everyone, kind of just, you know, let things live. I feel like, I don't know, I did a pretty good job and people like were telling me that like everything I was doing seemed like I'd win something and I was like, I stood out with like my speeches and things like that. I was trying to convince myself that I can win something. I think just kind of know what you're getting into. Exactly, it's a commitment, it definitely is, and writing speeches and speaking in front of like basically the whole entire town, and then you have like this like literally a crown on your shoulders. It's like a weight on your shoulders because then everyone wants to come up and talk to you and like ask you all these questions and about your life and what you do and why, and you have to be ready for all of that, and it's not something that like you expect to be ready for your senior year of high school. So it's kind of just like be prepared for what you're getting into and definitely memorize your speeches. I was recommended that by the past judge for my sister's year because I told him I was going to be running, and he told me, he's like, Will, memorize your speeches. That's what stands out to everyone. You know, you have to like seem like something different that they haven't seen because they've seen these things all the time. And so memorize your speeches. My sponsor was the Windsor Historical Society, and they've never sponsored somebody before. So they were so excited when I won because they've never sponsored someone before. And I came to one of their events, it was like a Shad Derby theme event, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, like this is like our queen, and all these kids want to take pictures with me and stuff like that. And I became like this character and this image, like to portray like this whole institution. And so just be prepared to be like in the limelight, even though it's like a small town, it's not like I'm on TV crazy or anything, but it's still like attention and pressure, and you kind of have to be like ready for all of that, I guess.
I think going forward, being the first Shad Derby Queen, or any Shad Derby Queen really, gives you more of a lifelong tie to Windsor, where you grew up. It just is so special to your heart looking back.
The advice I would give is always have a winner mentality, because I didn't think I was going to win, but I kept saying on the camera that I was, because me and the queen actually got interviewed before then, and I think I had said something like, you're going to see us two at the top, and then I was like, and then we just ended up winning. I don't know. That was crazy, honestly. So just have a winner mentality, because you never know.
I don't know. I want to make sure that we can still establish a sort of like community in it. I want to make sure that even though it might seem out of reach or out of touch, that, you know, you can achieve it, because I'm not going to say I'm an example of it, but like, you know, you can achieve it. If that's your goal and that's like your dream, you can achieve it.
I'll tell you, Mayor, we can go out and just talk to a couple of the folks. Here's Miss Windsor Lions, Jill Johnson. Jill, what do you think of the proceedings today?
Oh, they're pretty good except for the rain. We wish we wouldn't had it, but it happens. So it's not raining now. Maybe we'll make it to the end.
Well, congratulations, by the way. You were excellent in the competitions.
What was your experience on the parade day?
It was so like surreal.
So it rained. It rained on our day, but it ended up being really cool. That was my first ever like any kind of being a part of a parade, so I enjoyed it, but it still did just rain, unfortunately.
Well, it was raining, and it was kind of hard to get all my friends to come because I was like, come on, and they're like, no, it's raining, the ground is wet, gross. But we like hid under the, like at Windsor High School, that's where the parade starts, so we hid under like some little like over thing, and you know, it was like fun, and I'm wearing this big dress and it's getting wet and stuff, but you know, it was really like fun because like right when it was about to start, they delayed it for a bit. That's when it like stopped raining, so it's like, okay, this is fine.
When I tell people this, everybody's like, oh wait, where? And I'm like, well, in my town, Windsor is such a cool like little small town, and it just reminds me of like this show called Gilmore Girls, and it's like just a really nice small town where everybody knows everyone, and it's just super cool. Like everybody just thinks that it's super cool that our town does it, so.
It was very surreal to be like on the float and like watching what I watched for years happen and being that person up there. And like I was in the high school band for a couple years, and like the high school band was marching and they were like in front of us and we were like passing by them in our little thing, and all my friends were like waving at me and they're like cheering, they're like, Queen Sky, you know, like they're screaming. And to me it felt like, I was like, what is going on? Like this is not real, you know? And then like going all the way down and going to the parade and waving at these little girls, and it felt like, I don't know, something that like I never believed possible. And then like when I wasn't like in the parade, I remember some little girl walking by me talking to her mom, being like, Mommy, she's so pretty. Her crown is so pretty. Like, can I talk to her? And she talked to me, and it was like these like people who have just moved to Windsor and things like that. And I was telling them about the Shad Derby, and I was telling the little girl, you know, like, if that could be you, you know, if you want to, that could always be you. And it really, to me, was just like this out of touch experience. I was like, this is not real, you know, like nothing I ever like imagined possible, especially like telling a little girl, which could have been me, you know, like that could be you. And then like some little girl looking up to me as like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. That to me was just like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like it was just so surreal.
Such a good time because working with those people, those volunteers, were so much fun. They have a big shad that they tow. Having two daughters that have participated in it, I enjoy the creativity, you know, that a lot of our local businesses actually provide that day. You know, we now see it in the Torchlight Parade, in the local businesses that spend time and creativity into making something special. I would love to have seen more floats and stuff, and I still do. But the fact that we get, you know, local groups, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, you name it, marching band. I mean, Windsor's got the most extraordinary marching band of any high school. I'll put them up against anybody. And it should be that. It should be community. It should be town people, you know, like the Caring Connection has a truck or a flatbed that they bring. And all of the things that we offer in town, showcase them. So, you know, some people, and you can't make everybody happy, so we got all these out of town, or, you know, they're interested too. So, and they know it's a good event.
I have some pictures of this petty car thing.
Well, and yeah, that's the kind of stuff. Local group, be creative, you know, showcase what you're good at. And to me, that's what the Shad Derby is.
The Jaycees organized the green and the parade and part of the beer booth and stuff. For a number of years, my role has been to organize the booths on the green. So all these people that come and they sign up, I deal with that. I've got my map of doom that I use every year to organize all the vendors and everything else. It gets very tattered by the end of the year. You know, I always like to say at the end of it that it's 132 days and 2,000 emails. It's finally all set and good. So what's going on? We have a lot of vendors showing up. It's been picking up ever since COVID. You know, things were slow for a bit and things are good. The weather seems to be contributing to some slowness, but we have our fingers crossed they'll stop for the parade. But yeah, the Jaycees are a volunteer organization. You know, none of us get paid for this. You know, I spend a lot of time. I typically take this week vacation. I spent probably about 40 hours this week on email, getting it all put together, and just so everybody can have a good time. So I'm hoping everybody enjoys themselves and takes advantage of the food vendors and everybody else. But it should be good. It's one of those things where somebody's got to do it, and I'm very OCD. So I tend to pay a lot of attention to detail things, but this is for the town of Windsor. I grew up here. I grew up going to the Shad Derby. Somebody has to, you know, give back at some point. So that's my way of paying it forward to the next ones that come along, and somebody else can pick it up sometime. But this is a way of giving back to the town that I grew up in. So the main thing we need is, you know, if you like the Shad Derby, come sign up to be on the green. It's not that expensive. You can talk to me. I'll give Windsor residents a nice discount. You know, we like to have people here. The important thing is to fill the green as much as possible. The more people here, the more things people have to do. So come on and join us.
So officially, the Shad Derby has never been canceled. Officially. I will tell you, the one day that I was on the green as the green chairperson, and it was 38 degrees and raining. And I remember, I forget the officer's name, who was talking to us standing under the portico of Town Hall, and her teeth were chattering. Because, you know, here it's middle of May, and it was 38 degrees. And I was like, you're not gonna do this, are you? And believe it or not, vendors were actually showing up. So, but nobody in the parade showed up because a lot of them have very expensive uniforms, and it was cold. So the parade kind of canceled itself. And then the green, I mean, not even local groups were showing up because it was so bad. So we never really had to cancel it. So that's why the Shad Derby can go on and still say to this day it's never canceled. It just kind of canceled itself.
Yeah, Mike Rabbett told me that that snowed one year.
Yeah.
The same year, maybe?
It could be the one that year because it was freezing rain and just miserable to be standing outside. I also think in the times that I chaired the Shad Derby was the earliest I ever got home. I think I was home by like noon. It just, I mean, you know it's not happening when the police start being dismissed from their jobs that day.
I love it because I graduated from Windsor High School in 1965, and I still see people that I graduated with that come from, we have a guy that comes from Mexico. He comes every year, and it's great to see him, and the draw is the Shad Derby. And he knows when he comes, he's going to see all his buddies and all his ex-girlfriends and all that stuff, so it's kind of neat. It's a lot of work, and you're coordinating so many people and so many organizations, and, you know, egos get involved in stuff, and I think it's the best thing to happen to the town of Windsor. It put it on the map. It's a good thing for the town, and I hope they never stop it. I hope they never stop it. Yeah, but it's the tradition is still there. It's still there, and I hope we never lose it. I hope we don't.
I think a lot of people associate the tradition of Shad Derby is the fishing component, because that's really how it started. The fishing was to make awareness of the river and try to get people involved in cleaning it and keeping it. I mean, since then we've done a great job with that.
I think it's the people here in Windsor. This is our big day. This is our event that puts us on the calendar in the state. You know, some people have apples, but we have Shad, and it's been going on. And I think to participate, especially in Shad Derby Day, when all the people come down, socialize with some of their friends, it gave a lot of the civic groups and other charity organizations a place to earn some of the money that they raise for charities. I think it's really important that we keep it going. And here again, the people here in town still supporting it. And I think it'll go for a while.
It's getting the town together. It's a rite of passage, if that's the right word or not. It's the beginning of spring. It's the beginning of flowers and people outside and people walking and people running and kids having a good time. And you go down to Shad Derby and you see these kids and they're all sizes and ages and big guys like me love it just as much as the little guys do. And you know, you go have your fried dough and you go to the beer booth and you have a beer and you see all your old friends and no, it's you see the new baby that came from last year that wasn't there. The girl was pregnant and my son still comes down from he's in Massachusetts now, and the kids come down and they run the road race and his wife runs in the road race. It's a great event and it better not stop. Not while I'm around anyway.
Again, because my father supported it, I guess we all kind of supported it, but I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of work, the festival and setting up and tearing down and working that day and stuff and everything. He thought the parade was great. I thought the parade was great. You know, everybody would turn out, and it was a great thing for the community. You know, everybody just came together.
Just like the Shad come back every year, if you're from Windsor, you're going to come back here and fish for shad, or at the very least, you're going to be down Windsor Center for Shad Derby Day Parade and all the festivities on the green, and maybe a beer or two.
Well, the Shad always return. That was, I don't know who coined that. I know it could have been my father, and people who grew up in town and everything always want to come back. You would go down and you would see friends from high school and stuff and everything, and it's just a gathering moment for people, and I think that's why it's hung on so long, is because people just remember. The Shad always return. They always return.